G'day, I'm Warwick Schiller and welcome to my first video blog. You know, I've been going to write a blog for a while, but I thought, you know, I got the video camera and I like to talk a lot, so probably the easiest thing to do would be do a video blog. So I'm off to Australia for a couple of weeks in about 3 weeks from now, and I'm going to do some clinics there. So I thought I'd start to relay to you some stories from different clinics. And one that comes to mind is I did a clinic in Mount Isa, which is an outback Queensland, in the famous Mount Isa rodeo arena. And the first day of the clinic, there's a lady there on a horse and she does camp drafting. For you who don't know what that is, it's an Australian cattle working sport. Anyway, she does camp drafting and she said to me, so how much do you work your horses down before you train on them? And I said, well, I don't really. And she goes, oh well, mine, you might have quiet horses. Mine are kind of hot and want to go, and I have to canter mine for at least half an hour before I can do anything with them. And I said, well, that's interesting. Why don't you show me? So she walks off on a tight rein and she trots off on a tight rein. She said, see, he wants to go, and she canters off and she canters around. And I let her canter a couple of circles and I said, okay, go ahead and stop there. She said, see, they're hot, they just want to go. And I said, okay, let me just jump on for a second. So I got on and asked this horse to walk on a loose rein, and guess what? Off it went at the trot as when I asked it to walk. So I just got it bent around till it walked and went off again, and off it went at the trot. And so I did that for, I don't know, 2 or 3 minutes until it would walk on a loose rein. Then I asked it to trot on a loose rein. As soon as I asked it to trot, off it went at the canter again, and I got that all bent around and fixed up. And so I just did the same thing I would normally do with any of my horses that were acting like that. Anyway, within about 7 or 8 minutes, I could canter this horse around. I could walk, trot, and canter this horse on a loose rein, and it was ready to go to work. It was ready to do everything. It didn't need to be cantered for half an hour. Anyway, so when I finished with that, I said, so do you see where you're going wrong there? You know, what that lady was doing was she was applying pressure to the horse when it was doing the thing she wanted it to do instead of just leaving it alone. But anyway, I said to her, so you know, does that make sense? And she said, yeah. And I said to everybody there, I said, you know, this is the sort of horse that people would buy some of those low-calorie foods for. You know, and I know in Australia a lot of people buy all these foods that stop your horse from being hot. You know, and I said, and this is the sort of horse people would buy food like that for. Whereas just with some reasonable training, you wouldn't need those. And she says, well, as a matter of fact, she's on all that sort of stuff. And I said, oh yeah. And so how long's she been on that? And she says, oh, about 2 years. And I said, have you ever seen her any quieter than she was right then after about 7 or 8 minutes of proper work? And she said, no. And I said, so there you go. She probably doesn't need to be on that stuff because she's been on that diet for 2 years. You still think you have to canter her for half an hour before you can actually train on her. Whereas if you start from the beginning and train her like she's just any other horse, you know, you're good to go right off the bat. Anyway, so that's what I wanted to talk about in my first blog. I'm going to do a few more blogs here in the next couple of weeks, and most of them will be about experiences I've had at clinics just like that one. So anyway, see you next time.